Hey, I'm David, and here to talk about Dave's Picks Volume 6, which is being released probably right now. You've probably seen something by email. Where to start? There's a lot to talk about with this one. There always seems to be, with me, a lot to talk about. Last time I filmed something here, or videotaped, a seal swam by, so if anybody sees a seal, let me know. Very excited about this one. This is to me one of the most exciting releases I've worked on, only because, well, the music is great, which certainly helps in terms of excellence of the project. But as you probably know, in July of 2012, a big batch of tapes was returned to us. Probably about almost 20 reels, 7-inch reels. Each one runs about 45 minutes. Give you a little background. Got an email from a fellow in July of 2012, and he said he had these tapes. I asked him to send me a list. I get a lot of emails like this and phone calls, and it turns out that they're generally copies of copies, or maybe audience tapes. This fellow Eric, first of all, huge thanks to Eric and Janet for your generosity in returning these tapes. But I got the list and immediately knew that this was a legitimate batch of Grateful Dead reels. And it was reels, no complete shows, I'll say that from the beginning, but what was in this collection were various random reels from shows. So what they did is they completed a few puzzles for us. So for instance, for several of the shows, we had a show in 1969 and 70, generally runs 4 or 5 reels of 45 minutes each. And in a lot of cases, we have, let's say, reel 1 and 3. This collection that came back to us would be from that same show, reel 2 and 4. Or another good example is we had reel 1, 3, and 5. We were always missing reel, or 1, 4, and 5, and we got reel 2 and 4 back. There's a lot of examples like this. So I asked them, I said, look, we'd really like to get these back. And the next day they sent them to us. And Jeffrey Norman immediately started making transfers of them. We started listening. So we spent many months finding what was on these tapes, and it was spectacular. Everything we found had something good going for it. Sound quality was incredible. The era, all from the fall of 1969 through winter of 1970. So it's about a 6-month period of really some of the best music the Dead ever played, and most of it has never been heard before in any form. A few of the shows, there's not even a known set list for a few of these reels, including the St. Louis show that's part of Dave's Picks Volume 6. We'll get to that in a second. So we started going through them, and we immediately knew we wanted to get some of this music out as much as we could and work towards that. So with Volume 6 coming out now, we're really, really excited about it. So I'll get into, well, first of all, if you happen to have a Dead base near you, or the internet, maybe, take a look what the Dead were doing from, let's say, early December 69 through, let's say, end of February 70. So, a 3-month period. Almost every night they were playing, but not only that, they were all over the country. They were everywhere. They, in December, they were in California, and then at the end of December, they were in Texas, and Florida, and Boston, and then New York to start 1970, and then a West Coast tour throughout January of 1970, with including shows in Hawaii, ending 1970 with 3 shows, or 2 planned shows, and then 1 bus benefit in New Orleans. February 2nd, St. Louis, part of Dave's Picks Volume 6. That's February 2nd, February 3rd and 4th. At the Family Dog back in California to do the February 4th taping of Night at the Family Dog. The 3rd was rehearsal. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th of February, they were at the Fillmore West. 11th, 13th, 14th, they were at the Fillmore East. A short break, like a week, where they went into the studio and recorded a lot of Working Man's Dead in the middle of February. And then February 20th, I think, a week-long tour of, not even a week, of Texas. So they were busy. It was insane. Then back to California, actually, at the end of February for Family Dog shows. So really busy time for the Dead. And we fortunately got a lot of reels from that era back. And they were all recorded by Bear. So a huge thank you to Bear for recording. Thanks, Bear. And for Bear's family, Sheila and Starfinder and the whole family for really making this happen and happen so well. And everybody at Lembic and Wickershams. And there's a lot of people to thank for this one. But anyhow, so I'm going to start talking about the St. Louis show. Incidentally, we had to sequence this CD, I won't say backwards because it's not a backward sequence, but we start out with the St. Louis show, followed by the Fillmore show from 6 weeks earlier, because we would have had to cut the songs in order to make them fit on 3 CDs. Regardless, you get 2 complete shows here: February 2nd, 1970, St. Louis; December 20th, 1969, at the Fillmore Auditorium. Incidentally, little confusion: Fillmore West is a different venue from the Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco. Fillmore West, also known as the Carousel Ballroom. This is from the Fillmore Auditorium. So, the St. Louis show. This was, I think, one of the most exciting finds in this new batch of tapes. I think a lot of people, a lot of collectors, tape traders as we used to be called, a lot of collectors would know the St. Louis show because of the one reel that has circulated for a long time, and that features Big Raven just flew by. That features a bit of Cumberland Blues, an epic Dark Star, St. Stephen, that goes into Mason's Children, and a couple minutes into Mason's Children, the tape cuts. We now have that complete show. So what we've done now is put together the entire thing in the proper sequence. The other thing you might know about St. Louis, if you know Two from the Vault, the August 1968 release, there is an article in there, a reprint of a piece by Harper Barnes from March of 1973 as a bit of a eulogy for Pigpen. Oh wow, I should turn the camera on that up. Great blue hair, and you might have even heard the wing. Flew just inches over the camera, well, feet over the camera. That was pretty cool. Where'd it come from? Sorry about that. And Harper Barnes writes this kind of eulogy to Pigpen, who had died just a few days before he wrote it in March of 1973, 40 years ago, last month actually. So Harper Barnes writes this piece. They include it in Two from the Vault, and Harper Barnes talks about the love light at this show, February 2nd, 1970. It's all he writes about. So we knew that was on here, but now we've got this entire love light amongst lots of other stuff that St. Louis is one of these shows we didn't even have a set list for, aside from the 3 or 4 songs that circulate plus the love light, because Harper Barnes wrote about it. Incidentally, we've reprinted that entire Harper Barnes piece from March 73, as well as his actual review from the concert from February 1970. So we've got 2 big pieces in there. The booklet in this is actually really good. Tom Constantin wrote the liner notes, some great photos, on and on. But anyhow, so as soon as we got the St. Louis show, we started listening to it. Knowing as good as the Dark Star, as St. Stephen, and the bit of Mason's Children we knew was, we wanted to know what else was on there. And it's epic. It's a huge, huge concert. It's one of these shows that I think, as people listen to it over time, will stand up there with the best of 1970, up there with the Fillmore East shows in February of 70, Harper College. The only thing going against it, and I won't even say that, is that it's a short show. It's only about probably about 110 minutes, hour and a half maybe, almost 2 hours, but not quite. So it's a short show, but it's epic. So it opens up with a ripping version of Casey Jones. Mama Tried Hard to Handle. The Hard to Handle is really interesting. Second verse, it kind of I won't say it falls apart, but Pigpen starts singing a little out of sync from the musicians, and then all of a sudden it locks back in, and man, it's a ripping version of Hard to Handle. There's quite a bit of Working Man's Dead material on this. As I said, Casey Jones. There's a Black Peter. There's a Cold Rain and Snow on here, but the Black Peter is beautiful. I think we'll put that up as a sample soon, so you don't have to wait too long, because it's just a gorgeous version of Black Peter. We might have already put it up. And then there's Cumberland Blues, and after that we get this incredible Dark Star, St. Stephen. You might have heard the St. Stephen doesn't end actually, which doesn't mean it goes on forever. It means that they go into this crazy bridge, and Phil does this wild thing. It's one of these transitions that's completely unique, but it's as though it's a composed piece of music. So you've got this incredible transition into Mason's Children, and now that I've heard the whole Mason's Children, I'll say without a doubt it's my favorite Mason's Children ever. And I like a lot of Mason's Children. When we did Working Man's Dead reissue about a decade ago, we put a great Mason's Children on there from a few weeks before this. This one better. It's my favorite. It's incredible. We'll put that up for sure as a sample, because it'll blow your mind. It's just crazy good. Mason's Children, followed by a bit of a rarity, Good Lovin' with no jam. It's about a 5-minute Good Lovin', and it's incredibly powerful, but there's no extended jam. There's no drum solo, there's no Pigpen rap. Like I say, it's a 5-minute version of Good Lovin', no cutting it or anything. That's just how long it is. Followed by Uncle John's Band, another song that they'd be recording in about 2 weeks or so. They did a lot of recording, like I said earlier, around February 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. They did a lot of recording for Working Man's Dead then. So we got that stuff. After Uncle John's Band, they kick into Love Light, and it's one of the best Love Lights you're ever going to hear. Short, it's about 22 minutes. In the middle of it, they kick into Not Fade Away for 2 minutes, and they go into 2 verses of Not Fade Away, incredibly good moment, back into Love Light, great version of Love Light to wrap it up, and then, as was typical of a very hot show in 1970, an encore of We Bid You Goodnight. And as you know, they didn't do We Bid You Goodnight all that often, and when they did, it was generally the shows like 2:14:70 and 5:2:70, and shows like that is when you'd find them doing We Bid You Goodnight, and this is one of those shows. It's a magical show. I can't say enough good things about it. For historical significance, this is the first show without Tom Constantin as a member of the band. He played in New Orleans and then left. I don't know if that had been brewing or what was going on, or maybe he just didn't enjoy getting busted. But he left, and he was not at St. Louis, and he didn't play with the Dead again. Well, he did 4/28/71 at the Fillmore East, but that was more of a one-off. But Tom Constantin leaves the band, and you'll notice quite a few little differences, like the ending of Mason's Children. This Mason's Children I'm talking about, that's just incredible. You've got this different ending because, as you know, it goes previous to this, it ended with that swirling organ ending. So really cool stuff. Honestly, it's one of the most powerful, in your face. It's hard to believe. I was listening to it on the drive over here. I drive to where I'm shooting this thing. It's a, I don't know, 15-minute drive from my house. And what really blew me away was that 2 weeks after the show, they were in the studio recording the delicate sounds of Working Man's Dead. But here they are playing, I don't want to call it punk dead, but it is so powerful and it's loud. It's a very loud Grateful Dead in a very good way. When I say things like that, I think people say, oh, that's not good. Well, I mean it in a very good way. It's incredibly loud Grateful Dead. So you've got really one of the most powerful shows you're going to hear. And I hope you can tell I'm excited about it, because I've been listening to the show now for 7 or 8 months, and I can't get enough of it. It's really good. Wonderful stuff. So that's the St. Louis show. If I think of anything else to mention about it, which I probably will, I will bring it up while talking about this next show, which is from December 20th, 1969. So end of 69, big transition time for the Dead. As I mentioned, TC was going to be gone from the band in about 6 weeks. A lot of new material was coming in. A lot had been coming in over the last little while that would end up appearing on Working Man's Dead, High Time, Casey Jones, Dire Wolf, Mason's Children, which didn't appear on it, but it was recorded for Working Man's Dead. It was an outtake that didn't get used. But a big transition time for the Dead, going from the psychedelic Grateful Dead of the early 1969 to the country and vocal harmonizing Grateful Dead of 1970, Working Man's Dead, American Beauty, and clearly Jerry playing pedal steel, things like that. So it is a big change for the Dead. But this show, I think in particular, December 20th, the second show is part of, well, chronologically the first, but in sequence the second. It's just an epic show. It's a lot to say, but now, also, I want to say the sound quality on this one. Now, if anybody's been to the Fillmore Auditorium, if you go to San Francisco and go to a show at the Fillmore in San Francisco now, that's this venue. Beautiful little, maybe 1,000 capacity, great sound, very intimate, and you know, late 69, the Dead were superstars, especially in a place like San Francisco or New York, and you know, they could sell out Winterland, and they did often, but here they are playing at the Fillmore Auditorium, a little tiny thing, and they're playing great, and it sounds good. Incidentally, let me say this, a lot of incidentally stuff. You'd think that after 40 years of these tapes being stored in garages and attics and closets in New Jersey and North Carolina, two very hot, humid states, tapes would have a problem. Absolutely no physical deterioration or sonic deterioration, just as important. Jeffrey and I were completely blown away by how good these things sounded. It's almost like because they haven't been played in 40 years, they sound better. I don't know, but I'm not an engineer. But boy, they sound good. So the the 12/20, the second show in the release, which chronologically is the first. Might have wanted to start talking about it first, but anyhow, it opens up with Mason's Children. And this is only the second version of Mason's Children. They debuted it the night before. This is a 3-night run. Our show in the Dave's Pick 6 is the second show, December 20th. December 19th, they debuted Mason's Children. They played it all 3 nights. If you got the bonus disc on this by subscribing, you'll get yet another Mason's Children. So 3 if you got the bonus disc, 2 if you didn't. Still pretty good. Mason's Children followed by China Rider. Pretty new. Remember, China Rider was new. China Cat had been tied to lots of other songs in 68 and 69, and Rider, of course, had been played in 65, 66 by the Dead. And it wasn't until later in 69 that they joined the two, and they'd be joined forever pretty much, aside from some of the acoustic versions of I Know Your Rider in 1970. Okay, so you got a great China Rider, really interesting high time in that it's very rough around the edges, but Jerry's singing it with emotion. It's a really, really cool version of High Time. And then you get some of the typical stuff of the era. I think there's a Cumberland, and Me and My Uncle, and a Hard to Handle, another one, because we had one from the St. Louis show. And then after Cumberland, they go into a Dark Star that none of us have heard. I heard it a few months ago when we started working on this, and when the tapes got returned, Jeffrey heard it then. Quite a few people that I work with have heard it, but this to me is about the most exciting part of my job, is being able to get out something like this Dark Star and let everybody hear it, because it's a really, really good Dark Star. The one from St. Louis, which comes 6 weeks after this, is a very powerful Dark Star. It's got that melodic thing. It's really up there. It's a precursor to what Dark Star will become, let's say, on 2/13/70. The one in December 20 is the perfect transitional Dark Star, from being the transitional band from the psychedelic band of early 69 to the country band of 1970, or melodic band, I should say, more than country. So this Dark Star starts out nice and quiet, and then I don't pay attention to the numbers on my CD player when I'm listening to CDs, but I think it's around the 9-minute mark, between the maybe 8.5 and 12-minute mark. I think this defines the transitional dead of the time, because you've got this incredible meltdown around the 9-minute mark, and I mean incredible meltdown. TC does some way out there stuff on his organ. Jerry's like scratching and bending the strings, and just it's a meltdown. It's a complete feedback frenzy meltdown, kind of thing that if somebody doesn't particularly like the Grateful Dead but can appreciate Ripple or you know, Tear Up and Station or Eyes of the World or something like that, this is the kind of music that they would not like, and which means that if you're a Deadhead, this is the kind of music that you will really like and will really appreciate. It gets way out there. And again, I'm talking about this little 3-minute transitional piece that goes from that at the 9-minute mark to about the 11 or 12-minute mark. It gets into kind of a feeling groovy melodic jam, and it gets really going, and it really defines that transitional dead of this era. And it's one of the most exciting things I've heard. When Jeffrey sent me the CDs of this stuff after he did the transfers in July of 2012, the first thing I put on, I got this big batch of I don't know, 12 or 14 CDs, and the first thing I put on was this Dark Star, because it was a Dark Star that not only have I never heard, nobody's ever heard it, you know, for 40 years at least, and I put it on, and it was one of those things where I just, this is good, this is really good, this has got to get out. So we got this beautiful Dark Star that goes in. Jerry does some finger picking. It's a really interesting Dark Star, and picture it in a little 1,000 capacity Fillmore auditorium. Just wonderful. Sounds great. Again, Bear, thank you for recording. This one's for you, man. Dark Star goes into, as you know, we expect the Live Dead suite at this time. Dark Star into St. Stephen, into the 11, very good 11. Takes a little while to get ripping, but when it hits its stride, it's as good as any 1969, the 11. And then the 11, we anticipate it going into Love Light, of course. And instead, all of a sudden, this blues beat starts picking up, and all of a sudden, Jerry starts singing, "Please Don't Dominate the Rap Jack." And it's the first ever New Speedway Boogie. And I think it's really good. But what makes it even more interesting is you might or might not know, the story of New Speedway Boogie is that it was Robert Hunter's reaction to kind of some of the media representation of the Altamont Festival, which took place exactly 2 weeks before this on December 6th, I think. So you've got Robert Hunter, in the aftermath of Altamont, writing this lyric for New Speedway Boogie, giving the lyrics to Jerry, I presume. Jerry works up the music, rehearses with the Dead, presumably. Again, I don't know what was going on. And then 2 weeks after Altamont, they debuted New Speedway Boogie. Now that is a band at the peak of its creativity, I think. And I think the Dead's peak of creativity lasted quite a while, like 68 to 72, maybe. They were pretty creative there for a while. They were writing a lot of very, very good songs. And again, a lot and very good, and that's the key here. So you've got New Speedway Boogie, so you've got Dark Star St. Stephen the 11, and it goes into New Speedway Boogie, and it's a really wild version of New Speedway Boogie. You know, it's rough around the edges. I've used that a few times in talking about this show and these shows in this era, but it's really good. And then New Speedway Boogie just kind of ends, little break, and then boom, they kick into Love Light, of course. And this is a Love Light that's one of the most interesting ones of 1969. It's over 35 minutes long, and it goes up here and down here, and Pigpen's rapping the whole time, and Pig was having fun this night. Do not play this in front of young children, I guess, because there's some classic Pigpen cussing, I guess. But it's really good, and like I say, it's a very long one, and it builds and builds, and it comes back down, and it builds, and it keeps going, and it's an ebb and flow version of Love Light. And again, you're in the Fillmore Auditorium hearing this 35-minute version of Love Light. Just really wonderful stuff. So that kind of wraps up our two shows, and again, I couldn't be more excited about them. I think that, you know, we always have a lot of good stuff. I'm just looking back there. See if anything's out there. Nope. Nice mellow day. No birds, no dogs. Tide's pretty low, as you see. So it doesn't, for me, get much more exciting than this, in that it's great music. It's music that I don't think a lot of people have heard. It's a great era of Grateful Dead that we don't get to release too much of. It's 2 complete shows, and you know, I don't anticipate we'll be doing 2 complete shows on 3 CDs very often. 3 CDs is usually what you get on for a complete show. Incidentally, a lot of people have asked, well, what else is there? What else is there? There's a lot. There's a couple of shows from 1969, the last quarter of 1969, that I have my ears on big time right now. If it wasn't kind of taboo to release 2 releases back-to-back from the exact same week, month, I guess month you'd say, I might be focusing on some of this material, but you know, we'll get to 2014 and get some of that. But there's one show in particular, 2 actually in particular, that I would love to get out sooner than later. One has a Dark Star that I'd never heard before, that Phil just starts attacking his bass. He's just like doing this incredible, like, again, typical unique thing that sounds like it's been orchestrated and written as a piece of music, but it's created right there on the spot. It's true improvisational Grateful Dead music. Just a wonderful, wonderful version of Dark Star. There's a great the 11 on the same show. There is a tremendous Morning Dew, and then on the other show I'm kind of listening to a lot for possible, I'd say definite release, there's an Easy Win that's got to be without a doubt the best Easy Win they ever played. And again, I'd never heard it before. I don't think many people have. So stay tuned in 2014, because I think we're going to get a lot more of this music out. Again, I want to thank Janet and Eric for returning these tapes. Your generosity really can't be thanked enough, from everybody, from me, from Rhino, from the band. This is really, really good. If you're on the fence about getting this one, I'd say get it very soon, because the interest has been really high in it. Subscriptions, I think, sold quite a few, so a lot of them are already gone through the subscribers, but yeah, I don't think you're going to want to miss this one. This is, I think, special historical Grateful Dead music, and there's so much to tell in the story behind where these tapes came from. If you have any questions, as I always say, you can email me at vault, V-A-U-L-T, vault, vault@dead.net. And if you have any questions about this or anything else, or suggestions or anything, it's easy to reach me. And I generally respond to everybody, unless you're rude. I don't mind people being mean, but just don't be rude. I don't like being rude. I don't like hearing from rude people. But it doesn't happen very often, if at all. So point being, I respond to just about everything. So do get back to me, or do write me anytime with questions. And again, if you have any questions specifically about this one, clearly there's a lot to talk about. I have no idea how long I've been talking. I don't have a watch or a phone or anything, but it's probably pretty long, because there's a lot to talk about. I think if I'm missing anything, nope, I think I covered everything. Certainly check it out. We'll try and put a few samples up just to demonstrate how good it is. Again, there is a Dark Star that you've not heard. There's a Love Light that you've probably not heard. I know you haven't. I certainly hadn't. And this Mason's Children, there's 2 Mason's Children, New Speedway Boogie. On and on. If you're getting the bonus disc, which I won't talk about too much because if you're not, it's a bummer. But if you are, it's really, really special. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know if anything swam by. Maybe it did underwater. But I'll be back next time we have another one. It's now early April 2013. Probably be back in July, I'm guessing, with more news on the next one of these Dave's picks, which incidentally is just about done in terms of being picked. It's and then it'll go in production later in April and May, and pressing plant in June, and then we'll let you know about it in July, I guess. Thanks for listening, and enjoy this one. Really, from my heart, it's a great one, and I know you're going to like it. Really, it's good. Enjoy.